Hare Krishna Mataji, Danat Pranam.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our Monday morning Bhagavad-gita class. Joining us here on Zoom is Ishwari Shraddha-devi Dasi Mataji, always the first to join us here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danat Pranam. I'm
Hare
good.
Krishna, how are you doing?
Good. How was your exam?
Oh, exam was tough, but
Yeah.
yeah, this was my 5th exam of the series, and this was the toughest. Yeah, but it's over. It's done. Yeah, now the next semester started. And I see that Priyanka Mataji is also joined us here. Priyanka Mataji, come out.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada. How did your exam go?
Exam was good. It's over. It's done. It's last. Now a new life has begun with new semester. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. But yeah, part of the exam should be that it should cause thought-provoking thought. It should provoke our thoughts to go deeper into Srimad Bhagavatam, right, and reading it. And yeah, it was nice. It was a good reminder also from Shivaswami, dear teacher, who had set questions out of 14 chapters. And the emphasis that the teacher lays on the question is kind of giving you the direction that that's where he wants you to, be focusing more on the teachings from the Bhagavatam. Yeah. So we also have Dilip Patel Prabhu and Namazia Mataji joining us here on the Zoom. So if you're all ready, then we can get started. What do you say?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So should we get started? What do you say? Nobody wants to get started?
Yes,
all right.
Haribol. Yes, Haribol.
All right, Haribol. I'm waiting for your instructions. Om Jnanatimarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Matsamo nasti papatma na parathi cha kaschana parihare pilajame kim bhruve purushottama yuvati nam yatha yuni yunam cha yuvato yatha manobhiramate tadvan mano me ramatam tvai Bhumau Skalitapadanam Bhumirevaavalambanam Tvai Jata Paradhanam Tvameva Sharanam Prabhu Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarthaye Tvamaham Sada Tadiyam iti Janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadhishe Karunamritavahini Kripaya Nijipadabja Dasyam Mahyam Pradiyatam. All right, let's see who all have joined us here on the Zoom. So we have after Priyanka, first it was Ishwari and then Priyanka, and now I also see Sutapa Mataji. Deepal, Sadhana, Vaishana Mataji, Suyash Prabhu, and Neeral and Khyati. So do we have a reading order that we can refer to?
I posted, but I think I included Suyash. I didn't include Suyash Prabhu. I didn't see him online.
All right, you can add him.
And Garima Mataji said he can't read, so I'll just replace him.
All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So I posted the order, Mataji.
All right. And can you read it also for us?
It is Shri Radha Mataji, Sutappa Mataji, Varshana Mataji, Priyanka Mataji, Suyash Prabhu, Sadhana Mataji, Deepal Bhabhi, then me, and Shraddha Mataji.
All righty. Okay. So let's get going with the translations for this verse.
Hare Krishna. O Purushottama, no sinner or offender is as bad as I am. How can I describe my shame? Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in a young man, and the minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone. Hare Krishna.
Just as the crown is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter for those who have offended you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. O Shrimati Radharani, beloved of Lord Govinda, this is my request. May you and Lord Govinda consider me one of your assistants. Hare Krishna.
O Srimati Radharani, O Queen of Vrindavan, you are a river flowing with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so the next is the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, and there was some homework there.
Yes.
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 All right. Okay, so let's do the homework first. What is Om referred to here? Om.
Oh my dear Lord.
Oh my dear.
Oh, my dear Lord. Yeah, my dear Lord. Okay, Namaha means what?
Paying obeisance to you.
Yeah, offering my obeisances. Okay, Bhagavate.
Unto Lord.
Unto which Lord?
Unto Lord Krishna. Govinda.
Vasudev.
Vasudev?
No, after that Vasudeva is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here he's talking about, Prabhupada is emphasizing the personality of Godhead, right? Because you can offer your obeisances to the Brahman effulgence also, right? Brahmeti, Paramatmeti. So he's talking here about the Supreme Lord. Okay. Vasudevaya means?
Vasudev,
Vasudeva.
the son of
Unto
Vasudev,
Vasudev.
Okay, son of Vasudev, and you said unto?
or Krishna,
Or Krishna.
the
Primeval Lord. Okay, very good. Janma Adi. So what does Janma?
Creation, sustenance, and destruction.
creation, sustenance, and destruction.
Right. Right. And then what verse from Brahma Samhita talks about creation, sustenance, and destruction? Are you all familiar with Brahma Samhita? Do you dabble with it?
Not much, Mataji.
5th verse, Mataji, I think.
5th verse? Okay, and what is the 5th verse?
I don't know, Mataji. It's like a parrot. I remember this discussion.
Okay. It's sometimes good to be a parrot. Actually, parrot is one type of a listener, you know. A parrot listener is able to listen what the teacher is saying and will just repeat it. Might not know, might not be able to.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
But I would like to know.
Mataji, is it Shristi Sthiti? Is it that one?
Yes, for 700 points. Yes.
Shristi
Give us that verse.
Sthiti.
Yes.
Shristi Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Bibarti Durga Ichhanurupam api yasya checheshtate sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
So which part of the verse talks about creation, maintenance, and destruction?
The first line, no? Shristi Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly right. So Sisti is what?
Krishna is creation.
Yes. Very good. 400 points.
Final ega.
Okay. What about the other two?
Sthiti is
Sthiti, sustenance,
Yes, Stiti is
And-
sustenance, right? So
and-
remember that. Yeah.
Pralaya is destruction.
Pralaya is the destruction. Okay. So let's go back to our verse from today. Thank you so much for the citation, Mataji. All right. So we were Janmadi, we were saying, and Asya. What does Asya refer to?
Of the
This
manifested
manifested word,
of the
universe.
manifested universes.
Okay. All right. Close your eyes. Yataha means what?
From
From
whom?
whom?
From whom?
Okay. Anvayat means
Unwild
Directly.
Directly.
directly. Okay. And Itaraha means
Indirectly.
Indirectly.
Exactly. Okay. Have we done with the 10 or what was left? Have we
Sure.
done 10?
No, Mataji, there are 2 more.
2 more? Okay. Okay. Cha means?
And
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 Artheshu means
purpose.
Purposes.
purposes. Okay. Very nice. Very good. So you guys have been doing some work. Very nice. Okay. So let's do 5 more. And are you able to see my screen here?
Yeah,
yes.
Artheshu?
I can see.
Abhigya. Abhigya means
fully cognizant.
cognizant, right? Fully cognizant. So you see that the word abhigya is actually has got the gya in it, right?
Gyan.
Gyan, knowledge, you see? So
Knowledge.
cognizant means that, somebody has got knowledge of or somebody is aware of. So he's fully aware. How much are we aware?
Minuscule.
Minuscule, okay. Yeah, so just elaborate a little bit more on that and maybe draw some boundaries on our awareness. Bhagavad-gita chapter 13 tells us about the awareness and the lack of it or otherwise. Aware.
Mataji, bodily process, we are not aware about what's going on in the body, right?
Okay. And who's
What-
aware?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
And who is aware of it? No, that was a question. You are not aware of it, but who is aware of it? Of what's going on?
Soul.
Krishna.
So,
Okay, but then when you say we are not aware of it, who were you referring to? I thought we all are souls here.
So,
yeah, but soul with the worldly mindedness, right? With body consciousness, we are not aware.
Okay, the soul doesn't know. Okay. So what does the soul know? Oh, what do we know?
Something that comes in our sense perception, right? That we know.
Okay.
At least that we know at that time. Whether we remember it long time or not, it's a different thing.
Okay. So that we know at that time. And then our senses are imperfect also, right? I mean, just to make metaverse on a Monday morning. So if we don't know about what's happening inside a body, then we say, all right, I've got senses. I can find out from what's happening outside. But then I realize that my instruments are all stunted and blunt. So I don't know enough about it, right? Okay, so we know about it's, and the main difference between abhigya, he's fully cognizant, and us, of course, we know that we are not fully cognizant. We are not even this much cognizant about. But the soul, they say, is that soul knows of its own body, knowing in the sense that if there is pain somewhere, the soul knows about it. But the soul doesn't know the pain in other bodies, like that, right? So soul is confined to that way, to being cognizant and to be feeling and to be conscious. It's only conscious of its own body. Is not, if not 100% cognizant like abhigya, not like that. But the super soul dwelling in everybody's body knows about it, right? Now inside your body also, parts of your bodies are controlled by the demigods, and so there's demigod for respiration, for circulation, and things like that. So they also know about your body, right? So demigods are at a higher level, although we might just kind of like dismiss them off and say, yeah, they are demigods, I don't want to be demigods, and they're devtas, and look at Indra and things like that. But we have to remember that all these demigods are actually devotees of the Lord, and they have been given this charge of managing this universe. And the bad thing is that because of the nature of the material world and the way it is so sticky, that in the process of carrying out their duties, there is a chance that they will fall down. All right, just as you are that if we also work in certain industries, then there are chances that we might just fall down, right, from a path like that. Okay, so let's just go back to our verse that we are looking at. So abhigya, fully cognizant is one. Swarat is fully
Fully
independent.
independent.
Okay, how many of you want to be Swarat? Or ever tried to be Swarat? Only 2, 3, Sadhana said. Okay, Kathy is confessing on the Facebook.
We tried, but we don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question was, did you try?
Yeah.
Try.
It's like when it works to my advantage, I want to, and when it doesn't work to my advantage, I don't want to.
You don't want to, right? And then if you want it to your advantage and it doesn't happen, then what happens?
Depression.
Frustration,
Frustration.
anger.
Frustration, anger. Yeah, I was looking for the elder brother. Anger. Okay, yeah. So we try to be Swarat, but who is Swarat?
Govinda.
Right, Govinda is the only one who is Swarat. So he's fully cognizant. He is fully independent. Tene.
Mataji,
Brahma.
Brahma.
Vidit.
Okay. Question? Was there a question there? Suyash?
But then we can't see the screen anymore.
Oh, you can't see the screen anymore? Okay. I'm being my bad self again. Okay, here. So we did Swarat, fully independent, and then Tene means
imparted.
imparted, gave, right? What did he give? Brahma, the Vedic knowledge, right? Isn't it amazing that we think Brahma is Brahma?
Yeah.
This words, Brahma is actually the Vedic knowledge. Hrida, consciousness of the heart. Yaha, one who. Have we done with 5 here?
Yes.
Abhigya, Swarat,
Tene Brahma.
Brahma, Hrida. Hrida, right? Oh, okay, let's go back to our beautiful picture of the Lord, right? Satisfy your senses by looking at this. And then let's come here to the verse itself. Okay, did you memorize it, Ishwari Radha?
Yes, but not fully. It's always like that Janmadhyasya, and then like the couple, and then I know the second line, and then third line comes like that.
Okay, keep going. Because I remember you were saying you wanted to take that as a homework. To do
Yes.
that. Okay, keep practicing. So as usual, for few weeks, I will be singing this, and then later on, just listen, hear, memorize, understand the pronunciation, catch the tune, and then we will be doing it together later. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadya asya yatonvayat itaratas chartheshvabhigya swarat tene brahma hridayadi kavaye mohayanti yat surayah tejo vari mridam yatha vinamayo yatra tisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirasa kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Okay, so now that you are memorizing these word by word meanings, I would highly encourage you that when the Sanskrit is being pronounced, try to rake your memory and see, recall what each of those words meant, right? So what is Swarat? We did Swarat today.
Fully cognizant.
Swarat?
Fully
Independent, right. Swarat. And Abhigya is what?
Fully cognizant.
Fully cognizant.
Okay, whose turn is it to read now?
Mine, Mataji.
All right, go ahead.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. He is only first who first imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of matter appear factual although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Absolute truth. So this particular verse is actually telling us that that I'm meditating, and he's talking about all these potencies of the Lord and the characteristics and the things of the Lord. Going back again to the verse that I was focusing on, which was the creation, maintenance, and the destruction of the world. And Ishwari Radha Mataji so expertly quoted Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktireka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. So we talked about creation, maintenance, and preservation, right? So that particular verse, what it is saying is that this so-called Durga, the one who is known as Durga in this material world. So she carries out, she is like, actually, she's like a shadow of the Chit potency, right? So a shadow, a shadow looks like the original, but is not the original, right? And if you look at the shadow and if you look at the main, there's so much of a difference. Like a shadow is just like a silhouette, won't have all the features, etc. over there, right? So this material energy is like a shadow of the Chit potency. It's like a shadow. So Durga is like a shadow of Radharani, like that. So Shrishti, Sthiti, and then she's like a shadow of Radharani, and she's known as Durga, and she's worshipped as Durga in this world. And then she does the task of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Like she's in charge of that. In charge doesn't mean that they're not they do it. They could hire others to do it also, right? Or request others to do it. So she's responsible for these things. But then this verse, that verse says, the Bhamma Samhita verse says, Ichhanurupam api asya cha cheshta tesa. So what it means is that, but Durga is conducting all these things under Ichhanurupam, under the will of the Supreme Lord. Ichhanurupam api asya cha cheshta tesa. Govindam adi purusham tamaham tani. To that Govindam adi purusham, I'm offering my obeisances. Right? So, and this verse is actually, why it's emphasizing on the material world is because we are in this material world, and we have the tendency to go and worship to Durga because, she can take care of us and not show us the trident that she has, like that, right? So we have a tendency to go there, but now this is making it is, giving you through Gyan Chakshu, it is giving you that knowledge that, do you know who she reports to? Do you know who she works for? And, do you know whose ideas all these are? They're all coming from Krishna. So here, Janmadiyasya Yathanvata Vitadaras, it's just saying that, you just worship Krishna. You start from there. And then if you know the source of something, then you know everything. So we should just try to know Krishna. And that is what our goal should be, right? Janma karma chame devyam evam yoveti tatvataha tyakta deham punarjanma naeti mameti. So Arjuna. So those who are able to understand Krishna's birth and his transcendental activities, they don't take birth again, right? Now, how will we understand? How will we understand the pastimes of Krishna? We will not understand pastimes of Krishna by raking our brains, by using our intellect and pushing it, right, like that, or doing some mystic yoga, like what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in a very Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati style. He says, drilling of respiration. Drilling, can you imagine? Drilling of respiration, what does that mean? He's referring to pranayama and those kind of activities that we do. So he's saying not by these physical activities, not even by your mental speculation can you know God. You will know God only when you get the mercy of the Lord. You get it from there, right? And how will the mercy come? You will get the mercy of the Lord only when you are humble. And so here is a trick. Here's a trick for you to learn on a Monday morning that will sustain you guaranteed for the rest of the week, is that if you are humble, then the mercy of the Lord starts to flow immediately. Lack of humility is what is, preventing that flow from happening. What comes in between you and the Lord is our false ego, our pride. The moment you remove the pride, the screen of the pride, then the mercy, you'll be able to catch his mercy. Okay, so that's a good mood to be in. Humble, right? Rinadapi sunichena taroreva sahasnuna amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. So to be able to do kirtan of the Lord, to be able to chant, right? And chanting and hearing are the two things that a grihastha is supposed to do. So a grihastha is supposed to organize his life in such a way that you should have space and time to be able to do chanting and hearing, right? So like you all organize your life. Like 4 months ago, you were doing something different at 6:30 in the morning. You all organize your life like that, right? And you came when in the beginning when it was like 6:30. What? 6:30? 6:30 in the morning? Come on. You must be kidding. We can't do that. I have office, I have this, I have that. But then slowly we adjust. And that is how we do, as Pastor Babu says, that you make a wedge, right? You make a small, you need to get into something, you make a little wedge, and then you'll be able to go deep inside it like that. So slowly you wedge like that, and then you'll get deep into devotional service also like that, right? So hearing and chanting is what, as grihasthas, we are supposed to make time. And then for us to be able to do that effectively, we need to have humility. Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahasnuna. And be tolerant like a tree, right? So isn't that a big project or what? So Tapa, what do you say about tolerance?
Yes, Mataji. Because this is what happened, just after Friday's class, I came across someone like 2-3 years back. They behaved so badly with us, and now her mother is in a hospital ICU with the corona. So I thought, what should I do? Should I interact? Should I talk to them? And then the Friday's class, the tolerance and mercy and everything. So now I started talking, okay, this is my duty to do that. Not involved, not go deeper, but it's the duty I should do.
Very nice. Very nice. And then, yeah, and actually, by doing that, you actually go up, you climb several notches in their opinion, although they might not express it easily, although they might not be willing to demonstrate that fact that they're having a change in heart, but they will have a change in heart because now they will see that, oh, we behave badly. They know that they behave badly. They behave badly. And yet at our time. Now, when these miseries come, miseries are, like we always say, these miseries are an opportunity for us to learn. And that's a question that Bhagyashri Mataji had asked, so what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? Right? So yes, tolerance is one thing, right? Humility is another thing. How to solve that problem is another thing. To know that you're not the controller is another thing, right? And also it is a learning for us to know that, okay, this is what I was not capable of. These are some of the assumptions that I made. These are some of the mistakes I have been making. These are some of the areas in which I have to improve, like that. So when things like corona and all that arrive in a person's life, there will be a change of heart, unless they are extremely on the bad end of the spectrum. There's always a little bit of introspection that happens, that why did this happen? Why did this happen? And so these are the tridents that come and poke us every now and then. And if we are smart enough to learn our lesson, then you're already on a progressive path. So they are going through that, but the ego comes in and they're it's difficult for them to acknowledge or even to open their mouths and say that I appreciate your thing, but that's fine. We don't expect that. We don't wait for apologies that are due to us. We just accept all the apologies that are due to us, but were never made. We just acknowledge them in our heads and move on, because it's only going to, give trouble to us. It's not going to do anything to those people who were offenders in the first place, like that. So by doing such acts as you did, Sutapa, you were actually making Bhagavad-gita a manual of your life, because you're following that manual. You're also presenting, remember, you are devotees, you are also ambassadors of Krishna, because you are showing by your behavior how a devotee lives life. So they would just say that, how difficult it is to go and behave properly with somebody who misbehaved with us, right? How difficult it is. And then they see that you have that strength to be able to do that, right? So when they see that you have the strength to be able to do that, at some point in time, they might just say, oh, there must be something with devotional self. What is it that she does differently? They might sometimes even come and ask you, like, how come you could forgive me? How could you do that? How come I do so many wrong things to you? How come you are not fragile by that? How can you take it all in the stride? And that's the time when you will explain your lifestyle, and you will say that, how you are hearing and you are chanting like that. Yeah. So good job. Good work, Sutapa. Yeah. It's all about applying it in the life. Just theoretically assimilating this knowledge is not going to, should not be the ultimate goal of that. Right? Okay, good. Suyesh Prabhu, are you in a position to share the screen today?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And while he's bringing up the screen, I just wanted to also welcome those who have joined us on Facebook. We have, after Namazya, we had Achyuta Radhe Mataji, Shraddha-devi Dasi Mataji, Vijay Lakshmi Nair Mataji, Divyangi Devi Dasi, Aruni Ram Mataji, and Rohit Kumar, Bhakta Rohit, welcome. And then we have Bhakta Rohit is sharing that Vaishnav Prabhu says, be hungry, stay humble. Yeah, that's a nice thing. Be hungry, stay humble. Yeah.
And
Yes.
Mataji, on Zoom call, Vijay Lakshmi Mataji and Jaya Mataji also joined. So I added them in the order. So the last one is the most recent order.
Okay, please recite the last order for us all.
Ishwari Radha Mataji, Sutappa Mataji, Varshana Mataji, Priyanka Mataji, Suyash Prabhu, Sadhana Mataji, People Bhabhi, Vijay Lakshmi Mataji, Jaya Mataji, then myself, and then you, Mataji.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to share a little bit of good news that I think a week ago, we were all praying for my sister Vidyavadhu's brother-in-law, who was struck by COVID and admitted to the hospital in the intensive care unit. And his wife was also admitted in another hospital. They both are back home.
Jai.
In the hospital. Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Very, yeah.
Very good news.
That's very good news.
Fantastic news. Yeah. Yeah. It was power of prayers and of the Vaishnavas and of the devotees. That's why we, yeah. That's why we broadcast. I mean, we are also praying for Mayank Prabhu's mom, who's also stuck with COVID. Doctors are painting a dismal picture for her. And that's why whenever we have these prayer sessions, I also broadcast them on Facebook. And one might just wonder, like, you're praying, what's the need for you to broadcast it? Praise and prayer isn't prayer something which is private? Yes, it's private to ourselves, but broadcasting prayers on the Facebook catches the attentions of other devotees, and they will pray for you also, right? So as Vaishnav Prabhu says, that whatever is worth speaking is worth broadcasting. So that is the mood with which we broadcast that, and not to become famous or anything like that. So yeah, thank you, Krishna, and thank you, Radharani, for taking care of us. Who's ready to read?
Yep, I think it's my turn.
Oh, Sadhana Mataji.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Contents of the Gita summarized. How many do we read? 2, did you say? Or
two each.
Text 1, Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna spoke the following words. Text 2, the Supreme Personality of God has said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy.
Text 3, O son of Pritha, do not yield to Text 3, O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weaknesses of the heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Text 4, Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counter-attack with arrows in the battle? In battle, men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship.
Is this me?
Yes, Mataji.
I couldn't see the name of the person. Text 5.
It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Text 6. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Hare Krishna.
Text 7. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Text 8. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigod in heaven.
Text 9. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemy, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to grief-stricken Arjuna. Shraddha Mataji, your turn.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Text 12. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be.
Text 13. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Text 14. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Hare Krishna.
Text 15. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, and is steady in both, is certainly eligible for liberation. Text 16. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 17. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Text 18. The material body is indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata.
Text 19. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. Text 20. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Text 21. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Text 23. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same.
Text 25. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Text 26. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed.
It's me now.
Yes, Mataji.
Text 27. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Text 28. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation? Hare Krishna.
Text 29. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while other, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Text 30. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain, therefore you need not grieve for any living being.
Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principle, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the door for heavenly planets.
Text 33. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Text 34. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. The great generals.
Text 35?
Yeah.
Okay. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Text 36. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you?
Text 37. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Text 38. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. And by so doing, you shall never incur sin. Hari Bol.
Okay, and the verse for today is 32. And while we are bringing up while we bring up, so I wanted to ask one more question of Suttapa Mataji, and that is, I'm very happy actually for what you did, and I wanted to ask you that when you were going through that process of going back to somebody who was rude to you, and then asking about their welfare, what did you feel? What were your feelings?
Mataji, I feel very happy and very happy. I feel very satisfied, and like it's like that I have crossed. I came across a road which was like very tough, because they really behaved very bad with me. But when I did that, it's like I own the anger, resentment, everything.
Yeah. And so all of you, I just wanted to notice that she started with the word that I felt very happy. So, and why does she feel happy? Happiness is a symptom. Where do you get? In the three modes of material nature. Which nature is characterized with happiness?
Goodness.
So you see, this is a classic example. Like, sometimes we are like, I can't understand what is the mode of material nature, what are the modes and things like that. So you see that when you raise yourself to the mode of goodness, happiness follows. And of course, she was satisfied, and she let go of resentment. And yeah, resentment is like drinking a glass of poison and wishing that the other person dies. That is what resentment is, because it only affects you, nobody else. Yeah. Okay. So whose turn is it to read?
Priyanka Mataji, because I read last.
Okay.
No, it's for Sana Mataji.
Oh,
It is mine, Mataji. Hare Krishna, text 2.32. Yadrichya cha uppannam swargo dwaram apavratam sukhina kṣatriyaha Pārtha labhante yudham idrisham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just the first two lines over there, Varshana. So by the way, I posted the recording of the pronunciation of this on the Facebook page. Yadrichaya chopapannam, right? Yadrichaya chopapannam. Right. Yeah. Okay, good.
Synonyms: Yadrichaya, by its own accord; cha, also; upapannam, arrived at; swarga, of the heavenly planets; dwaram, door; apavritam, wide open; sukhina, very happy; kshatriya, the members of the royal order; Partha, O son of Pritha; labhante, do achieve; yuddham, war; idrisham, like this.
Mataji, is this the verse we are supposed to read today, or is the one which we read it twice, but it was incomplete?
I'll bring that in. Thank you for remembering that. I will just bring that in. Yeah. I'll bring the concepts in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Translation. O Partha, happy are the kṣatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets.
Purport. As Supreme Teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna, who said, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. Such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in the discharge of his specific duty. For a Kshatriya to be on the battlefield and to become non-violent is the philosophy of fools. In the Parashara Smriti, or religious codes made by Parashara, the great sage and father of Vasudeva, it is stated, Kshatriyo he prana rakshan, sastra pahini pradandayan, nirjitya para sanyadi, shittam dharmane palayat.
Good.
The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason, he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. Considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom. And if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case.
Haribol. Okay, so this is time for us to share our reflections on that. So you can stop sharing the screen. What did you hear so far that struck your mind?
Well, that wanting to be non-violent and in the stage of battle as a kshatriya is a philosophy of a fool.
Yes, very good.
Which I think is most people would tend not to want to fight, and because of other things take over. So it's kind of a very normal human reaction, right? Without thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. So compassion has to be placed properly to the proper person in the proper time, proper place, and proper circumstance. Okay, good. What else is Krishna talking about here?
If Krishna is talking about here that if you do your duties, there is a like a door for heavenly planet will open for you. So we should still do our material duty and not shy away from it. Not for achieving the heavenly planets, but that is one of the byproducts.
That's one of the byproducts. Okay, good. So what do you think about heaven? I mean, anybody here, not necessarily Kathy.
Well, we know that it's temporary, it's not eternal. Even life there is not eternal. We think like, you know, because heavenly planets, it has more enjoyment, of course.
Yes.
Also, that's enjoyment.
Yes, good points. So let's look a little bit, let's go a little bit more into the details of these points. And so can we go to heaven in this body?
No, I need a suitable body.
No, Mataji.
You need a suitable body, right? And in Kali Yuga, right? But in other yugas, you could go. Could you?
Yeah, Lord, I mean, Dashrath Maharaj was in the heaven protecting, like fighting for Indra.
Yeah. So there was some sort of an interplanetary travel that was allowed, right? Some people could go, right? But you needed to have the right qualification. But in general, it was not that anybody and everybody can go. Do you remember of somebody who tried to go to heaven?
Ravana.
Ravana, what was he trying to do?
He was trying to build a staircase.
Staircase, yeah.
And unqualified people want to go there.
Want to go there, just climbing the staircase. I mean, they didn't think about how long it's going to take them in that type of a body to start climbing the staircase. Right? I mean, even if the staircase is built, how will you climb in the same body, because that body will be perished on the way. Similarly, like some of the planets in this planetary system are so far away that even if science advances to a level where you can build a rocket there where you can sit, but then you will die on the way, right? Like that. So these are foolhardy methods. Okay. Anything else you remember about somebody who wanted to go to heaven?
Mataji, Raman wanted to build a staircase to go to the heaven.
What else?
But he could not go.
Yeah. No. I'm asking of other examples.
No, I don't remember.
What about somebody tried to go to heaven and Indra pushed him back? Do you remember with Trishanku?
The Prahlad Maharaj's grandson? No.
No. Trishanku. You remember the story of Trishanku? That's anybody?
No, Mataji, I remember the name, but I don't remember the story.
Story of Trishanku? Okay. Yeah. So Trishanku was a king, and he just didn't want to die. He wanted to go to the heavenly planets in the self-same body. So he went to Vasishtha. And so Vasishtha said, no, it's against the law. So when you're doing a karma, right, there are 3 types of karmas that we talk about in Bhagavad-gita. What are the 3 types of karma?
Akarma, sukarma, and vikarma.
Karma, akarma, and vikarma.
Vikarma,
Akarma,
right?
vikarma.
Okay. What is vikarma?
Vikarma is which should not be done.
Right. So vikarma is something that should not be done because it's against the shastric injunctions. So Vasishtha said, no, it's against the shastric injunctions, I will not do. So then what Trishanku did was that he went to and started talking to his sons and said that, can you please do some yagya? You are such exalted brahmanas. Can you just push me to heaven like that? And then the sons were like, okay, let us consider. And he said, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, because your father said no. And the moment the sons heard that the father said no, they became very angry at Trishanku and said that, when our father had already refused to do it. Why did you come to us and ask us to do it, right? Because the sons in those days obeyed their father to that extent. Now, Vasishtha and Vishwamitra, right? They had a rivalry. Vishwamitra actually was a Kshatriya king. And so once he was there in the forest, out on hunting, like what Kshatriyas do, and we read in the previous verse why Kshatriyas have to go to hunt, right? Prabhupada talked about Kshatriyas go kill tigers and lions and things like that. So he was there, and then he comes to the hermitage of Vasishtha, and with his all his paraphernalia, so there's all the people who are there with him had come on the hunting party. So they go there and they are hungry. And so Vasishtha had a kamadhenu. What is a kamadhenu?
The cow who gives lots of milk, unlimited.
Unlimited what?
Milks.
Unlimited milk.
Unlimited milk?
Kamdhenu is a cow, Mataji.
Fulfill all desires, I think, Mataji.
Yeah, kamadhenu will fulfill all desires. You ask her anything and she'll give you anything, not just milk. You ask gulab jamun, she will give you gulab jamun. You ask her for an army, she will produce an army and give it to you. Like that. So she's a kamadhenu. So Vasishtha Muni had a kamadhenu, and he had the kamadhenu for this purpose only, that when people come to your place and they need food, etc., then this kamadhenu would provide that. So he was using her meticulously just for that purposes. So when Vishwamitra says that, he says, oh, I'm the king. I need this kamadhenu cow. I should be the one who should be having it. And so he asks for him, and then he says, no, I can't give the kamadhenu because this is meant for noble purpose. And so he gets angry. He starts to take the cow away, and the cow gets angry. And she's kamadhenu. She's able to produce an army like that. She's able to produce an army, and the army defeats Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra gets very angry, and he says, oh, Vasishtha was able to do that because of Brahma Tejas. He was a Brahmana. So Brahmins have got that kind of a power because you're doing worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he said that he has got Brahminical powers. So I will also get Brahminical powers. I also want to become not just a Rishi, Brahma Rishi, a very powerful Rishi. So he sits down and he starts doing the meditation. And then anybody remember what happens? While Vishwamitra is meditating, very famous thing happens to him.
Menka.
Menka, yes. Indra, Indra from the heavens thinking, oh my God, this guy is doing so much of penances, so much of austerity. He'll get powers, and guess what? He can become the Indra. I don't want him to become Indra. I don't want him. I don't want threats to my reign. Okay, let's do something. Let's bust him up, right? So he sends the most beautiful Menka. And so Vishwamitra just hears the sound of the ankle bells, right? Just the sound of the ankle, because sound is so powerful. Because just by hearing Deepal Mataji speak and hearing the sound of her voice, Vijay Lakshmi Mataji knows it is her turn to speak next, right? Although she can't see on her screen. So that's how sound is so powerful. So he just hears. So that's what it says in the Bhagavad-gita. It'll come later in the second chapter, but it says, even one of the roaming senses of a person who is trying to control them, even one of the roaming senses will carry away the mind of a person who is trying to control them. So one sense of ear, because he had his eyes closed, he's meditating, he can't see, but just one of his roaming senses, and he ends up marrying Shakuntala, and having Menka, then having a baby girl called Shakuntala, and things like that. So now mission accomplished, his penances destroyed. Indra says, okay, Menka, project over, come back. And then she's a heaven society girl. She will do whatever Indra tells her to do. So she leaves, and she leaves the daughter there. And that's when Vishwamitra's eyes open, and he understands that this is Indra's ploy. So Vishwamitra is not happy with Indra at all. I mean, on a side, I have to tell you that Vishwamitra then continued his penances after, he didn't take care of the daughter. He gave it to some other rishi. But he continued with penances, and then he became a rishi of a high caliber. But then, when all this had happened, he was very angry with Indra. He was not happy at all with what Indra had done to him. So, when Tishanku was told no by Vashishta and his sons, Tishanku then went to the arch rival of Vashishta. He goes to Vishwamitra and says, I want to go to heaven. And Vishwamitra knows that Indra has got his rules for coming into heaven or not coming to heaven. And he says, okay, I have got enough power. I will push you. I will send you to heaven in this same body. So he starts pushing Tishanku up. And then Indra watches that from the top and he says, oh, no, 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 this is not allowed. So now Indra is also powerful. So he pushes Tishanku down. Right?
He will be in the middle,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why they say Trishanka Swarga. They say.
Yeah.
So he couldn't go either down or up.
Yeah, he couldn't go up there. He couldn't go down there. So that's why then Vishwamitra, because of the mystic powers, he's meditating, right? So because of the mystic powers that he has, he's able to construct a planet, Swarga, in between and say, okay, Tishanku used it. Indra is not allowing you in, but he wanted Swarga. So the desire to go to Swarga is very strong. Very strong. The desire to enjoy is very strong in us. Why is this desire to enjoy very strong in us? Why do you want to desire?
Because Krishna has, right?
Yes, because Krishna has it. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And we are parts and parcels of Krishna. So if Krishna enjoys, we also want to enjoy like that. Right? So, so the desire to enjoy, so he goes there. And so people are doing this. So in this particular verse, Krishna is actually, now in the previous verses, he was talking about soul, right? But then from 31 onwards, he started, saying, okay, fine, let's look at it from the karma kanda side of business. Right? So when you're doing activities, right? When doing activities, the lowest, this is a hierarchy in which you are doing your activities, and the lowest level of doing activities or karma, what do you think is the lowest level of karma? Doing something. Karma. Lowest. What is the lowest that you can, if you were to grade them?
So, Mataji, are you expecting specific examples or out of karma, vikarma, and akarma we have to?
Tell me, yeah. Give me an answer and then support it.
So
To kill someone, the karma.
Okay, the karma to kill someone. Okay, so that's a specific example. Yeah, it would be the lowest.
Cheating somebody.
Cheating will be the lowest. So cheating will be lowest. What do you think? Yes, in general, if somebody is doing a work, how would you even say that this is bad, this is low, this is high? Priyanka.
So anything,
yeah,
Mataji, so I was going to say first that vikarma is lowest and then karma is higher than that and akarma is this most.
Exactly. So vikarma is at the lowest level, right? Lowest level when you don't follow any shastric injunctions and then you go and try to enjoy, right? So like people who eat meat. Meat is available for free, cheaper than vegetables in some places, right? So it's available for you to eat. If you eat it, then it is vikarma, because shastras are not telling you to eat meat like that, right? So that the lowest level is vikarma. So what people do, they figure it out. They say, okay, I want to enjoy, but the Vedas are telling me things how I can enjoy. So then you start using the scriptures, but they're still for your own enjoyment. So those kind of activities, when you're looking at the results, right, sakarma, right, those kinds are also called karma kandi activities. Karma kand basically means this, that when you employ the knowledge in the scriptures, but for your own enjoyment, right? And then in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, there's a mention about karma kandi activities, and let me just bring it up here. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let me know. Desktop 2. Text number 20. Whose turn is it to read? Whose turn to read?
I think Sadhana Mataji was last to read.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
after.
Okay, then after Sadhana Mataji, who comes?
Deepal Mataji.
Well, Deepal is there with us? Is she there? I don't see her on my screen. Maybe she's on the screen. No. After Deepal, who?
Vijay Lakshmi Mataji.
Vijaya. Okay. Vijay Lakshmi Mataji, please unmute yourself and read.
Travidya mam somapa pota papa yajnair yajnair ishtra swargatim pratyante pratyante te punyam asadhya surendra lokam ashan ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan.
Oh, God. Okay, good. Let's look at the translation. Who's next?
It's me, Mataji.
Okay, Jaya.
Jaya. Those who study the Veda and drink some juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reaction, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights.
Okay, next. I don't know, Kathy, can she read? Kathy, can you read?
Yes, Mataji. We're reading purport, right?
Yeah.
In the word Traividya refers to the three Vedas, Sam, Yajur and Rig. A Brahmana who has studied these three Vedas is called Trivedi. Anyone who is very much attached to knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected in society. Unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know the ultimate purpose of studying them. Therefore, Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal of three Vedis. Actual Trivedis take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in the pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord. Mataji, you can read next.
Devotional service begins with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and side by side trying to understand Krishna in truth. Unfortunately, those who are simply official students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifices to the different demigods like Indra and Chandra. By such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature and are thereby elevated to the higher planetary systems or heavenly planets known as Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, etc. Once situated on those higher planetary systems, one can satisfy his senses hundreds of thousands of times better on this planet. Can you imagine that a gulab jamun tastes hundreds of thousands of times more delicious there than it sounds over here? So let's see what happens, right? So you do all this, and then who's next in line?
It's me, Mataji.
Okay, go ahead, Ishwari Radha.
Te tam bhuktava swargalokam vishalam kshinye punye mrityalokam vishanti evam trai dharmam mano prapanna gata gatam kama kama labante.
Very nice. And for the records, Ishwari Radha has the whole chapter memorized. Good. Okay, translation.
When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
Hare Krishna. Purport. One who is promoted to the higher planetary system enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment. Yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to this earth upon finishing the resultant fruits of the pious activities. He who has not attained perfection of knowledge, as indicated in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmade Asya Yata, or in the other words, He who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled about achieving the ultimate goal of life and is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to the higher planets and then again coming down as if situated on a Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes comes down. Hare Krishna. The next person can read.
The purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world, from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in the circle of birth and death on higher and lower planetary systems. One should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge and never return to this miserable material existence.
Right? So Shire Punya Martalokam Vishanti. When your pious credits are exhausted, you will come down. You will come down. And where you are going to come down, how you're going to come down, and what body you're going to get depends on your karmic, accumulation that you have done. So people in the Swargloka do live for a very long time, but they will come down. So in the verse that we are studying today, 2.32, Krishna is actually doing the Karamkandi activities, which one of you also pointed out on the Facebook page here. And what he was saying, that happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities arrive, and they will open the doors of the heavenly planets, right? Why will it open the doors of the heavenly planet? Because he's saying that, Arjuna, you're saying, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. It's better for me to go to hell. But he's saying, no, if you fight, because that's your duty, you fight. And when you go there, right, even if you don't fight skillfully, right? Even if you don't fight skillfully, even if you fight with half your heart in it, right? But start the war, go there and fight, because if you're going to die, then you will go to the heavenly planets. Why? Because you're a Kshatriya. And it's the duty of the Kshatriya to do his swadharma, right? So that was a part was mentioned in the previous verse also, and here also, right? And which is that whatever is your dharma, swadharma, dharma is something that cannot be separated from that object, and which basically means that if your consciousness is like that you're more in the mode of passion, which means that you have a dharma of a Kshatriya, that even if you say that I don't want to fight, it won't happen like that. You can't stay silent for a very long time. That's why it happens sometimes with us, right? You have a boss, the boss is very strong, scolds you so many times and you don't like it, and you to go and talk to everybody like, I've got a bad boss, and everybody just says, you keep quiet, just keep quiet, don't say anything, he's the boss, he can make or break you. But guess what? We go back and we say, right? Because it is our nature. So for the Kshatriyas, it's very difficult to be submissive and say, yes, I'm going to obey you and do everything that you tell me to do and things like that. So Krishna is just saying that it's your dharma. You have to follow your dharma. And that is why we have this concept of varna, ashrama, dharma. That depending on, we feel your pulse, who you are. and the Shastras are actually, Krishna is actually telling you what the dharma and what varna you are and what should be your dharma to follow there. Chaturvarna Maya Shrishtam. Krishna has created that. So this is a flawless system. So he's saying that some people will have that mentality. They will have that mentality to behave in a certain way. For example, even when you are working in anywhere that you're working, and you notice that even in day-to-day interactions, you see that sometimes there are people who will say, just give me the work. I will just do the work and I want to go home at the end of it. Don't ask me to do strategic thinking, strategic planning and things like that, right? There are others who will say they don't want to do the work. You give them some work, they will delegate it to somebody else. They are the administrators, like that. So there's a personality trait, and according to that, the four varnas have been created: Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, right? And they are supposed to act and behave in a certain manner. For example, the Shudras are at the lowest level, they are supposed to serve a master, right? And they're supposed to serve a master. The master is supposed to take care of them, which means that if there is a wedding that needs to happen in the family of the Shudra, then the master will arrange everything, right? When the Shudra gets old and cannot work, the master will still continue to take care of him. And, when you need food, you need a place, you need shelter, I will arrange all that for you. It is not like, okay, now you are 65, you can withdraw your 401k and blow it all up. Right? It's not like that. The people would take care of them. And why was it built like that? Because a Shudra has got a Shudra mentality. A Shudra mentality is they can't take care of their money. They cannot do that. So if you give them money, now you see, we come across Shudras. Of course, in Kali Yuga, all of us are Shudras. But in general, we come across Shudras as, the servants, and, they come to, especially in India, where I'm from, you would have a maid servant. And then one day she would come and sit there and cry in front of you, ask you for some money. And then you'll ask, like, what happened? I paid you the salary yesterday. What happened? Oh, my husband took it all and he blew it up all up in alcohol. And then he beat me up after that. That's Shudra mentality. They can't take care of money. You give them money, they blow it up. So that's why these dharmas and these varnas and these ashrams have been created. And Krishna is pointing it out, and he will slowly, in a few verses later, he will point it out. But right now he's just saying, okay, even if you just do the dharma there, right? So even if you do the dharma, then of a kshatriya, then that is good. That is good enough for you, like that, right? So when we talk about this concept of varna and concept of varnashram, Krishna had created the varnashram. Anything that comes from Krishna is transcendental, right? But it gets polluted over a period of time. So at the lowest level of these varnashrams that we talk about, it's what is known as the Asuri varnashram. Asuri, Sur and Asur, right? So Asuri varnashram. What does Asuri varnashram? What happens in the Asuri varnashram is that everybody thinks that I am such and such a person because I am born in such and such a family. That is Asuri varnashram, right? For example, I am a Brahmana because I'm born in a Brahmana family. I am a Kshatriya because I am born in a Kshatriya family. I am a Vaishya because I am born in a Vaishya family. Like that, right? So this is completely a bodily concept of life. Because you came out of the body of a Brahmana, you are thinking that I am a Brahmana. I don't need to do anything. I am already qualified because of having taken birth in that family. Right? So that is Asuri varnashram. You think most of us are in that situation, right? Then there is the Devi varnashram. Devi varnashram again talks about these four divisions, right? But what it is saying is that you do your duty according to your varna. This is what Krishna is also telling Arjuna, but not as deeply now. So in this varnashram, Devi varnashram, what happens is that you do your duty of the varna, and your varna will be determined by your qualifications, and what's your personality type. And just from there, you can go back to Godhead, right? Devi varnashram is the highest level of varnashram, right?
Mataji, that is Devi, or means what is the
Devi, D-A-I-V-I, Devi. Devi Esha Gurmai Mama Maya Duratyaya. Devi, transcendental. Devi, that comes from the top, right, from Krishna. So you have the Devi varnashram, in which is that you could be born as a Kshatriya, and as a Kshatriya you'll go back to Godhead. You could be born a Vaishya, from there you can go back to Godhead. And that is what we are following now, because we are all Shudras. And we are saying that just by chanting the names of the Lord, you'll be able to go back to Godhead, right? So at the lowest end is the Asuri varnashram. At the highest is the Devic varnashram. And in between it, what is known as the Vedic, according to the Vedas. According to, going by what the Vedas are telling you superficially, the Vedic varnashram system is there. And what it does is that you will get elevated to the next level of varnashram by doing the duties of the current varna where you are. For example, a Kshatriya will get elevated and become a Brahmana, right? And then the Brahmanas, where will the Brahmanas supposed to go, right? They need some elevation, so they will go to the heavenly planets. So that is what it is, right? In the Vedic. So there's a
Mataji, can I interrupt? In the heavenly planets, so after one finishes his punya or good, then they come back to. But I was just thinking that in the heavenly planets also people have tendencies to make like, you know, we have 4 defects. Do they have defects there also? Like, do they make mistakes and that's why they fall down? And if they don't, do they have an opportunity to rise from there?
Yes, they have an opportunity to rise and go up. So a Brahmana can get elevated to Janaloka, Tapaloka, higher lokas, and from there he can progress all the way up. He can do that. But why it is not recommended is because the opulence is so great in the heavenly planets that there are chances you will commit some, bad karma, and then you have to suffer it and come back like that. So that puts a hindrance in your progress. Okay? And if you were not planning to do that, you just did some karmakandi activity, and because of that, you got elevated to the heavenly planets. Then this verse from Bhagavad-gita, which we said, Shine punya martha lokam vishanti. Shine means decrease. Punya. So when they become decrease and finally become 0, then where else will you go? Your bank balance is over, right? Like if you have got $1 million, and so you start spending it in things that you want to enjoy. You go and buy a house, and you go and buy a yacht, and you go a house by the waters, and you go and buy a yacht, and then you sit on a plane and go to other places, and this money is being exhausted. After some time, it will be 0. Then what will you do? Right? Yeah, you're back to normal, back to square one. So that's why you go to the heavenly planets, and then you come down, right? Like that. So when a Brahmana gets elevated by properly following the Brahminical things, right? He gets elevated, he gets a chance. He gets a very nice chance to further progress from the heavenly planets and go up, because the heavenly planets, life is long, other miseries that way are less, as compared to what we have here. So if we have the strength, because, taking multiple bodies is also is a difficult thing, right? It has to be scheduled. You have to go into a womb and things like that. So sometimes people just say, okay, fine. I'd rather have a long life, and that long life, I'll finish off my project and go back to Godhead, like that. But if people are, so that is one thing to keep in mind. But another thing is that, you could also get elevated to a heavenly planet by fighting a war. If you're a Kshatriya and you fought a war, then you will go to the heavenly planet also. But remember, it happened because you were just doing that order, right? But you'll come back again and, hopefully start your life and do more Kshatriya-like activities, and then be elevated to Brahminical and things like that, depending on, again, which yuga and etc. that you're born in, right? But we have to remember that, so here, what Krishna is telling him, that, if just the basics, he's telling him that you swadharma, you follow your dharma, you're a Kshatriya, you will get, even if you die, you'll go to heavens. What he's not telling him, which he'll tell in chapter number 9. That's why chapter number 9 is known as the most confidential knowledge. He's telling that, Vedas only telling you, and Vedas have got beautiful descriptions. And actually, even in Srimad Bhagavatam, when you read the descriptions of some of the higher planetary systems, it's so beautiful. I mean, the variety, the birds, the water, the swans, the lotuses, the cool breeze, the good smell, there are huge lists are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in second chapter itself, Krishna will say, Veda Pushpitam Vacham. Pushpitam Vacham means flowery language. So he says, don't get bewildered and entangled by the flowery language of the Vedas. What is that flowery language of the Vedas? The flowery language of the Vedas says, here is a description of the beautiful heaven, and here are the steps to go to heaven, right? That's what the Vedas will tell you. But in 9, where idam te tu guhyatam tamam pravakshami anusuya vaha, Krishna is saying, idam tu te guhyatamam. It is most confidential knowledge I'm telling you. And what is that most confidential knowledge? Shine punye martha lokam vishanti. A part of that confidential knowledge Krishna is giving is that, okay, I told you in chapter 2, don't get bewildered by the flowery language of the Vedas. And I'm telling you again in 9, what's going to happen, right? Trevidya Sam Soma Paputa Papa Yagya, right? So Trevidya are the three Vedas. You read all those three Vedas, you drink some Soma juice, you know how to go over there to the heavenly planets, but you will come down.
Mataji, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
What is the difference between Vedas and scriptures, Shastra?
Ah, very good question. Vedas just refers to the four, right? Well, in the beginning, there was only one Veda, one big thing, but it was divided into four in the beginning of Kali Yuga by Vyasadeva, because he knew the type of people who are going to come in Kali Yuga, you know, won't be able to study all of them like that, right? So he broke them down and gave the job to his disciples to further propagate those four pieces, which is Atharva, Yadur, Sam, you know, the Yajur, those four Vedas. So that is Veda. Those are Vedas. They come from the mouth of Krishna, and so do others also. Shastras can be, you know, Vedas, and then more things written on top of the Vedas. For example, Vyasadeva wrote Vedanta Sutra, and we saw a Vedanta Sutra here. Does anybody remember when we were reading the purport? One Vedanta Sutra came there. I'm just going to bring it up here really quickly for you. You see this? Read it. Somebody read it.
Vedanta Sutra Janmadi Asya Yatha.
Okay, Janmadi Asya Yatha. Does it ring any bell in your head? Janmadi Asya Yatha?
Bhagavatam 1.1.1.
1.1.1. You see, Janmadi Asya Yatha, right? So one of the sutras of the of the Veda is saying Janmadi Asya Yatha. What does it mean? It says that from which everything is emanating, which is Krishna. Right, so sutras. So these sutras will also become part of the Shastras. Then there is a commentary written on the Srimad Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's also scripture, right? Then the Puranas, right, which is historical narration, which means the Mahabharata, etc. You know, Shiv Purana, this Purana, you know, like that Padma Purana. They're all scriptures. Okay. So Vedas will not necessarily have stories in them, right? But Puranas, histories will have lots of stories. And that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is also known as Bhagavad Purana, because it's full of stories like that. So Vedas is a subset of the scriptures.
Even Upanishads come in that too?
Yes,
Mataji?
Upanishads are part of the Vedas. Upanishads actually are part of the Vedas. They are later part of the Vedas. When you read the Vedas, then there are certain sections of the Vedas that you read as a brahmachari. There are certain sections of the Vedas you read as a grihastha, because you have to lead a grihastha life, so you need to know the do's and don'ts, right? So you read certain parts of the Vedas, you acquire some knowledge, and more important, you acquire some experience. You acquire some experience in life, and because of that, your mood mellows. And then you go and read further into parts of the Vedas. And actually, when you go to Vanaprastha, right? When you go to Vanaprastha, that's the part when you start reading the Upanishads, which are kind of like the appendices section of the Vedas, like that. So yeah, Upanishads are part of the Vedas. Thank you.
I think I should start now.
Yes, start with Ishopanishad. Yes, start with Upanishad. 18 verses. Prabhupada translated that for you. Right? Ishopanishad.
So Mataji, according to this, Shastra is mainly Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gita, Brahma Samhita. What else?
Well, not according to us that only these are the Shastras. What Prabhupada has said is that of all the Shastras which are there, if you are able to focus and concentrate on Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is sufficient for you.
Okay.
Like that, right? And then we do two more. We do Nectar of Instruction, and we also do Ishopanishad, because it augments, you know, they're rich and they're very tiny and they're very small. And Prabhupada refers to them a lot in the purport. So we kind of just fold those in as well.
So to start with, which one I should start?
Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad. Yeah. Okay, so I'll stop here. Yeah, I'll stop here, and because it's time also, almost 8 o'clock. And okay, I just wanted to let you know that I am going to give a class in Modesto tonight, but it's pretty late, 7 o'clock. And I don't use my Zoom call. They have their own Zoom call and they use it. And it's a little dated Zoom account that they have, so which doesn't allow me to broadcast on Facebook, etc. So I generally record it on my computer and then I load it on my Facebook page. That's one way of looking at it. But if anybody wants to attend it live, then just ping me and I'll send you the Zoom call details for that. Right? 7 o'clock in the evening for me, which is 10 in the night in some parts of USA. Like that. Okay? All right. Have a fantastic, fantastic day. And
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can I ask a question?
yeah, sure. Mataji, might be short. I might take it tomorrow because it's already 8 o'clock. Yeah, but
Okay,
after,
okay.
yeah.
No, I'll tell you tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I will also tell you tomorrow.
Okay, why don't you do this? Why don't both of you post the question on the WhatsApp group, right? If it can be addressed in the WhatsApp group itself, I'll address it there. If it needs more elaboration, then I'll pick it up tomorrow. That sounds like a plan? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, have a fantastic day. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Humility is the word to remember. And the 5 new words from Srimad Bhagavatam. 5 of them. Okay.